Hello and welcome in this video. In this video, we will build a full stack web application. A backend will be Python with a Flask framework. A frontend will be React. We will use the API of Groq Cloud with different AI models. We will use also the API of Mistral AI. Here, for example, it is our project Milo. So I can sign up. So Osiris 1 example. I define my password, sign up. And after I can sign in, and by default, we use Groq API. So I can test to send a prompt which company build you. So let's try with Mistral API. I was created by Mistral AI. And also I can update my prompt, and also I can delete. Okay, try to use now Groq API, and let's send a same question: which company build you? I was created by Gemma team at Google DeepMind because we use a model Gemma now. And if I try to update, to change, and to use a model LLaMA, try to use this model, in my backend, I change a model. If I try to modify my prompt using my new models, LLaMA AI, send. Okay, I was created by Meta, a company that, so and also we can use Groq Cloud models just by Groq Cloud API. We will see all these things in this video. Okay, it is possible also to log out. So what is Flask? Flask is a lightweight web application framework. It is designed to make getting started quick and easy with the ability to scale up to complex application. So to use Flask, you mean to install Python. If you don't have Python on your desktop, please to install Python. So download and click just or download a Python free. After now, we will use on this video VS Code editor to write our application code. So you can use your personal code editor, but in this video we will use VS Code editor. So if you don't have any code editor on your desktop, you can download and after you can install VS Code editor. So I can create now the a folder of our project. So Milo, okay. And after in our project in our folder Milo, so I enter in the folder Milo, and I can create now a backend of our project Milo. So I use just a name backend Milo. Okay. And also I can create I can create a front end of our project. Great. So now I can open my global project Milo. Great. So I have my backend folder and also my frontend folder. And I can open my terminal. And so I can open now my backend folder. Great. So before installing Flask, we needed to have a virtual environment. So we use virtual environment to manage the dependencies for your project. So if you use Mac or Windows, okay, so I use Windows, and here now I can copy just this line, okay, and in my backend folder I can paste. We have now our virtual environment, and if I see my folder, I can see a new folder, a new virtual environment folder, this folder, okay. And after we needed to activate our environment, our virtual environment. So on Windows, we can copy just this line in in the backend folder of our project. You can paste. Okay. So now we can work on our virtual environment. So finally, we can install Flask. So I install Flask. Great. Flask is now installed. So let's start now to create a minimal Flask application. In the main of the folder backend Milo, I I create a I create a file app, and in this file I can import Flask. So from Flask import Flask. I define a variable app Flask, and I define my route. A function dev hello hello world, and finally I I return just a simple paragraph. I save, and I can start my minimal Flask application. So in my terminal, Flask app, after my main file app, and finally run start. Okay, so it is Flask app and run. Okay, so I start a development server, and in my browser, yes, I have hello world. I need now to import Flask course. From Flask course importer course, we will install Flask course. Or what is Flask course? So Flask course is a Flask extension designed to simplify the implementation of cross-origin research sharing in Flask application. So cd backend Milo, I activate my virtual environment install. Okay, we install now Flask course. We can continue. We need now to install Flask JWT extended to manage the authentication of our Flask application with JWT. Okay, so now to install, we need to install. So I copy directly and in my terminal. Okay, so after now, I needed to have to import Auth. We will see it is important to manage the environment variable and also to manage the environment variable. Okay, we need to have also a dot env Python. Okay, so directly I can copy and also here now install. So here from from dot env, okay, import load dot env. Okay, and I can I can I can call a function load dot env, and here I can add from Flask GW from Flask GWT import JWT manager. We need to connect our PostgreSQL database with our Flask application. So please now to open in our browser or to search Neon, just Neon. Okay, so search Neon in our browser and login. Okay, sign up and after login. Okay, and after we will see you will see this dashboard, and on this dashboard you can create a new project. So here I have my new project to define. This project it is for our it is for my video to do file. And to do file, it is the backend API with a Nest.js. Okay, I I create and I build and I deploy a full backend API with a Nest.js, result ORM and Neo database. And this project use this database. And for our project Milo, I can create a new project. So you can create a new project Milo. Database name, I use AWS. Okay, AWS and select a region. You have a choice, AWS or Azure. So I use a default choice directly. And if I click on create, okay, so I have now my project dashboard. Okay, and if I see my main dashboard, I can see a project to do file and also a project Milo. So I chose a project Milo. Okay, and if I come back in my VS Code, I can write here. Okay, write here from extensions import db. Okay, import db. And with this line, okay, we can create a a folder extension by here we need to have Flask SQL alchemy. So let's start to see this Flask SQL alchemy. So Flask SQL alchemy is an extension for Flask that add support for SQL alchemy to your application. So with a Flask SQL alchemy, it will be easy to write the SQL request. Very, very easy. And we can install. Okay, I can copy just this line in my VS Code in my virtual environment. I can install. So here now I can write from Flask SQL alchemy. Okay, import SQL. It is SQL alchemy. Okay, and I define a variable db. Okay, db, and this variable use SQL alchemy. Okay, I can save. So Here now from extension, I import this variable tb. Okay, I can I can import also the date time, date time, date time from date time import. Okay, time delta. We will see. Okay, we will see. So with this line, I wanted to import a a data time just to manage the time of the user connection. Okay, but we will see. Okay, so now here I can use my Flask curse, so app to accept all requests from my backend application app. So support credentials true. Great. And now here app config. Okay, SQL alchemy database, SQL alchemy database URL. Where I'll define now my connection with my application and my Neo database. So database OS, okay, get in now, get in, get in, and I get a environment variable database, database URI. Okay, so I save. So I need now to create the environment variable file. Okay, env, and directly here I can define a variable, the environment variable data, database, okay, URI, okay, and I can I can pass now the address of my Neo database, and so if I come back on my project Milo, okay, I needed to click just on this button, connect, okay, connect, and I can copy directly this this code. Okay, it is this line. Okay, and I can pass directly here. Okay, I copy and I pass directly here. Okay, we can continue. After now, I need to have also I need to have also this line. Okay, it is very important. So SQL alchemy track modification. Okay, I add now app config JWT secret key. Get in. Okay. JWT secret key. Okay. So JWT secret key. So I need now to define environment variable JWT secret key. So JWT secret key, you have a choice. Okay, you can use any here now. I can define as a JWT secret key is secret key project Milo. Okay, project Milo. I save. Okay, so if I continuous pp, okay, config JWT now JWT access token time data ours, it is a integer variable, so we need to specify int. Okay, so int. Okay, so I get now the environment variable. Okay, the environment variable, and now this environment variable is will be JWT sparse hours. Okay, and two, just a two, just to say okay, my token will be delete in 2 hours. Okay, so I can continue. Okay, all right, and we can continue. So here I call now my database variable db, and I use a global variable, a Python global variable. I need app. Okay, and I specify my Flask variable app. Okay, and also I define a variable GWT manager. Okay, and also my Flask app. Okay, so here the problem is okay, and I I save now. Okay, and if I try to refresh my page, all right, So we need also to have many routes in our application. Many routes in our application, and I can define. I can define now the this route. So from route autumn out, okay, in part out BP. We will define, okay, we will define this route, and also I need to define from route open OpenAI, okay, import BP. We will define also this route. I need to see with you the concept blueprint. So Flask blueprint are a feature in the Flask web framework for Python that enable the organization of application components into modular reusable units. And for example, here I can define app, my application app. So register blue blueprint, and I specify my route. So my first route, route BP, okay, and I specify also the URL preface, okay, it will be API out, okay, and with this line we will make, for example, localhost, okay, API, okay, out, API out to test our our route, okay, to login and also to register, okay, and also I will I will make the same thing with the second route, prompt BP, okay, URL preface will be Mistral, okay, Mistral, and with this line after we will make API, okay, Mistral, okay, to send our our prompt, okay, and finally, okay, I can write with app contest, okay, db db create all, okay. So this line connect our all model with our database, okay, great. So we will define these models. And so in my environment variable, I can add JW expire hour, okay, 2. I can save. So I I want to just add a file git in your, okay, and in this file I enter my the folder for my virtual environment, and also the folder package. So package. Okay. In this part of our video, we will see the models concept. So here, just for example, it is my table user, and here it is my table prompt, and in my table user I have the the ID of the user. I have the email of the user, and I have a a password hash of the user. Okay, so for example, the ID of the user will be okay, and just for example, the email of the user will be, and finally the password of the user will be, okay, okay, will be this thing. Okay, we will use the Python dependencies to hash the password of the user. Okay, but the user will will write will use, for example, okay, okay, this test for password, and the Python dependencies will hash this password, and this password the will be very the complex test. Okay, but our table our table user in our database will contain the will contain the ID after the email, after a colon password hash. Okay, so to generate, yes, to generate this thing, we will write the models of our table user in the file model. Okay, and also in our table prompt, okay, we will have the ID of our prompt. Okay, this ID, the ID of the user will generate automatically. The user will write just his email and his password. Okay, the ID also of the table prompt will generate automatically. Okay, and we will save the user ID, the user ID of the user. Okay, this ID we will save here, and this name in this table, in this prompt table, will be user ID. And after, we will save the prompt of the user, and we will save also the response of our artificial intelligence AI, okay, of our Mistral AI. Okay, so we will have the relation, yes, the relation, the relation between the the ID of the user, and the user ID of the prompt. And for example, okay, for example, this ID, okay, will stay here, but why we use the user ID, we use this ID, and we repeat this ID here as the name user ID. We use just because we need to display the prompt and the response of each user, okay, of our apps. If I come back in VS Code, I can create now a file models. So models by. In this file, I can import directly my DB connection, my database connection. So from extensions, import DB. Okay, and I can import from. So here we need to have a Python dependencies to hash the password, and this dependencies is here. So Groq security. So here just I can copy, and in my virtual environment I can paste and I can install. So from work Zerg secure security. Okay, import generate password hash, and also check password uh, hash. Okay, so to define a model, we use class user, okay, db the connection of our database, db model. It is a function. id it will be db div column. It will be a string with this character. It will be unique, true. Okay, and it will not be null. So nullable false. Okay, so now here the email after a password hash. So email. Okay, so here it is our email. Here it is our email. Okay, so now our id it will be db. Our id it will be db column. Okay, and also db integer. It will be very simple to use integer, a number. Okay, in primary key. id db colon. Okay, integer, a number, primary key, true. So we have only just this id. So we have the id, we have the email, and finally a password. So password hash. So db colon. Okay, it will be a string. Db string. Okay, nullable. Okay, false. Okay, and we can define now a function to hash this password. So function set function set password. Okay, so self password. Okay, it will be generate password hash. Okay, and we take a password. Okay, so now we generate a new function to check this password. So define function check password. Okay, self after password, he return check password hash, check password hash, password hash, and also a password of the of the user. And now we can define a models of our table prompt. So a same thing, class prompt db model. The ID, it will be the same thing, integer. Okay. User ID now, user ID, because here we have the user ID, and this user ID, okay, it is the ID of our table user. So we needed to make a relation. So user ID db colon, okay, db integer, because the user ID of the ID of our user of our table user, it will be integer. It is integer. Okay, it is integer. So user ID db colon db db integer. Okay, db foreign key, foreign key. Okay, and the name, it is user ID, user of our table user, after his ID. Okay, and it will not be null, nullable. So nullable, it will not be nullable. So nullable false. Okay. Okay. So after now, I can specify my colon prompt. So prompt db colon, okay, db. So here we'll use a test, but it will be a test. Okay, the user of our application, you can use a test, okay, a paragraph as prompt. Okay, so db prompt, okay, nullable false. Okay, so finally response of Mistral AI, response db colon, it will be test also. Okay, we can save. So here, VS Code import automatically, but I don't need. Let's start now to um, to start our application. So Flask app run. Okay, so I have the error. I have an error, and here now, yes, here I need to write a correct name, SQL Alchemy. When I save, and when I try to start, okay, so I have now a warning, okay, to install PsychoPG2. So it is the Python dependencies to make relation between the Python application with serverless database as Neon database, okay, with a remote database as Neon database. So we can search PSI PSI copy to Python. So okay, so here I copy it directly and in VS Code I passed. Okay, so try now to start our application. Okay, so he say model not found error, no model name method. Okay, no problem. Okay, I can add this line as a comment. I add this line as a comment, and after we will we will use. If I save and if I try again, Flask. Great, great. So all right now. If I try, I have hello world. In this step of our video, we will see and we will create a different routes for our app. So, what is the route in backend app? So, the route is just the different way to send a request. So we have different routes. We have a route to receive a data from our database, and for this route we use a method get, okay, to receive a data from our database. We have a route post to send a data, to send a request, and to save this data, for example, in our database. We have also a route put to update, for example, the information in our database. Finally, we have a route delete to delete to delete a data in our database. Okay, so this all method, the name of this all method is create. Create for create, read, update, and delete. Now I can create a folder. I create a folder root, and I can create now a file Auth. In this file, we will manage a different route to send a request and to receive a request for authentication users. So now I can import from Flask, import blueprint after a request and after JSON file, JSON file. So with this with JSON file, it will be easy to to learn a response of our server, to write, to receive a response of our server. We will see. After, I can import the connection of my database. So from extensions, import tb. From models, import user. I import a class user from model, this class. From Flask JWT import create access token to identify the user. From Flask also JWT import JWT require. So it is also possible to import on this same line JWT. Okay, so now I can define a variable auth blueprint name. Okay, so here in a file app, I define the root. From root auth import auth pp. So from root auth, so here from root auth in the file auth, okay, import auth bp. Okay, so auth bp now, okay, root. So I can define now a root register to sign up the user. Okay, method of this root post. Okay, because here we send the data, we send the information for the user, and we save this data in our database. Okay, I define now a function register okay, so variable data, okay, request get JSON. So we send the data as a JSON, okay, and in our variable data we catch, yes, we catch and we save this data in request get JSON. So in our variable data we save our data as a JSON. So here now user variable user, I use our model user, okay, and I define email, okay, email will be data email, okay, user set password, data password. Okay, so with a Flask we use db session add user to save this information. We use also db session commit to save the modification and return JSON file. Okay, message. Okay, user created. So here I define a function register. Okay, so here now it is the simple way to add a sign up route with Flask. So we define a variable data to receive a data, a user, and a password for the user. A variable user to save the email of the user in data. After a variable user set password to save also a password for the user in a variable data. Okay, and section add. Okay, to add this modification, section coming to save this modification in our database. So now I can this line, for example, from root to root in bar. Okay, and also this line register. Yes, I can save. Okay, so let's start to try our root register. So I use a Postman. I use Postman as tools to test our backend API. I can create a new collection with the name Milo after YouTube. Okay, so add request. Okay, so sign up and post. Okay, so I need to specify the URL of this route sign up. I can copy directly. If I refresh, okay, our server, it works. So I can copy directly the address of our server. And now I need to complete API Auth. Okay, so yes, to use the root Auth BP. Okay, URL preface is API Auth. So now I specify API after Auth. Okay, and in this route now I have our route register, so I can complete register and route after register. Okay, great. And now it is a post method. Okay, and now I need to send a data as a JSON request get a JSON. So here in my body row. I specify here JSON, and here now I specify two type of data, email and password. So first I specify email, email, and email will be just okay. And also I can specify a password, password, and a password will be, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just for example, okay. If I try to send this request, send. Okay, the request URL was not found on the server. Okay, please check. So if I try to start again my server, okay, so I have this error on a colon user ID. So db colon db integer. So it is user ID db colon in here integer. If I save and if I try to start again a server, okay, so now I don't have the error, and if I try to send my request post, send, great, great, we are good. We have the message user created as JSON. We execute this part, return JSON file message user created. Okay, cool. And if I try to see my database in Neon, my PostgreSQL database in Neon, I select my project Milo table. Okay, I have my two tables, user and prompt, and if I see my table user, my model user, I see the ID, I see the email, and I see password hash. Okay, and I see also this I see a colon prompt. Okay, I see a colon prompt, and this colon prompt is the model prompts. Okay, and if I click on prompt, I see my model, my table prompt, the ID, the user ID, okay, integer, and also my the prompt and the response here. So I can try now to add a road login. Road BP, road the address login, and a method also is a post, because we will send a request, a data of the user to sign in the user. Okay, so I define a function login, and also I define a variable data to receive a data of the user. Okay, so now my variable user, so I use a model user. Okay, so I can add a filter by, so user query filter by email. Okay, and email data email first. And now if user, okay, and user check password, if user and user check a password, we use check password in our model user, okay, to check a password of the user. So if user, okay, if this user and user check password, okay, so user check password, a parameter will be data password, a password of the user. Okay, so if this condition is true, we define now a token. So if the user specify the email, okay, and this email um, is um, is available in our model user, and also a password, and we check his password with the method check password, we define now a token. Okay, token, we use now a function create access token, identity, okay, string, user ID, okay, user ID. Okay, so we define a variable token, and we create access, we create this token using the user ID, using the ID of the user. Okay, so user ID. Great. And now we return JSON file. Okay, and now access token equal just token. Okay, so now if we have our token, or if not we have our token, we can return JSON. If we don't have our token, we can return JSON file message. Okay, on valid user information. Okay, and we return a response as a number. This number. Okay, I can see. Okay. Okay, we can try. We can try with a visa route, and now I can add add a new request. So here it will be sign in post. I can copy directly this address, and here it will be login. And in the body, I copy the same thing also. Body row I passed. If I click on send, not found. The request URL was not found off of the server. Okay. API login. I can start again. I stop a server and I can start again. So Flask. And if I try send, okay, great, very great. So we have our token, access token. Okay, so we have a response, a good response, 200. Request successful. The server has responded as all right. So now we can create again directly a root logout. So here also it will be a similar thing. So I can copy directly. I copy in here now. I passed. So here it will be logout. Okay. So here again we send also a request. So we use also a method post, and then I use a GWT required. I use now a function. I define a function logout. Okay, and return JSON file. Okay, message equal logout successfully. Okay, so in Flask, it is very simple to add a method logout. So here now I can try. add a request, logout, and if I copy directly the URL, I passed a method post, a route logout. I don't have a data, a parameter, so I can send directly. Okay, so I need to start again my server. And if I try, so I have the error, and here it is a function. So I need to use JWT requirement as a function. And if I try, I have also if something. So I add a number 200 to specify a good response. And here I have also a message missing unauthorized. So we needed to specify a token of the user. So authorization. So token and sign in. I can copy. If I copy a token and if I replace here, okay, and if I try log out successfully, and I have now a good response. Okay, so we have our logout route, we have our login route, and we have also our register route. Great. In this part of our video, we will see how to use the API of Mistral AI. You can use the API of OpenAI, you can use the API of Groq AI. It will be the same thing. So you can click just on try the API, okay, sign up and after sign in. And you can click directly on API key, okay, and on API key you can click on create new API key, and you can use a name Milo, okay, that expiration, okay, and now I can create. You can click on create new API, and please to copy your API key, and you can come back directly in your file, your environment variable file. Okay, you can pass directly, okay, your Mistral API key from Mistral AI. Okay, so just for example, and I can save. So after you have your Mistral API key, you can click now on docs, and you can see how to use Mistral API key. We will use, for example, this example. So in my VS Code, I create a files utils, and in this file, I create a folder utils, and in this folder, I create now a file OpenAI service by, and if I see a docs, I can copy directly, and in my file I can paste. So here import OS for Mistral AI, import Mistral. We will define, we will install Mistral AI. Okay, so also I can import a .env package. So from .env import .env. Okay, and after now I use visa function load.env. Okay, so I have my model Mistral large latest, and also API key. Okay, I can use now the environment variable. So get in and Mistral API key. Okay, because we define Mistral API key in our environment variable. Okay, so I can say, so client Mistral API key equal API key, and here I can define a function, define ask Mistral AI, and in the as parameter I use prompt, a prompt of the user, and here chat response, okay, equal client chat complete model. I use my variable model message all user. Okay, a content will be a prompt of the user, a prompt of our user. So print, and if I use a function, I can return now a response. So return that response. Okay, and I can save. We will use in this part also the CRUD operation for prompt route. So the user can get the response of get the response of AI. The user can post, so same his prompt. The user can update his prompt. The user can delete also his prompt. Okay, so in my folder routes, I create a new file, open, yes, OpenAI, OpenAI. Okay, and in this file I can import from Flask, import blue request, and also JSON from Flask also, and here it will be from Flask JWT to authenticate a user. Import JWT required, and also get JWT connection of my database. So from extensions, import DB. From models, import prompt. So from the folder utils, after open service, import a function ask Mistral AI. Okay, so here now I define a variable prompt blueprint. Okay, so prompt BP equal blueprint prompt name. And now I can define a route to send our prompt using the function ask Mistral AI. So a route of prompt BP route. I use a prompt method post. We send a request. I use now a JWT required. I define a function create prompt. I define now a variable data. So it will be the same thing. Request, okay, get JSON, a variable user ID from model prompts. So user ID, so get JWT identity. In response variable will be okay, ask Mistral AI okay, and use a prompt of the user, and a prompt of the user is in data prompt. And now we define also a variable new prompt, and in this variable we use a model prompt, and we define the user ID. So user ID, okay, will be this user ID, and prompt now, because in our model prompt we define the user ID, we define a prompt, and also we define a response. Model prompt, we define the user ID, we define the prompt, and we define the response. The ID is automatically generated. So prompt now, prompt equal a prompt of a user, and a prompt of a user is in data prompt. We define a response, and we use this variable response. And we make the same thing as a root register. So we save now, we save the modification db section add, and we add a new prompt. We add db session commit to save our modification in our database. db session commit. Finally, we return as JSON the ID. So the ID will be new prompt ID, because if we see our models prompt, okay, this ID will be generated automatically. And so here now we define a different parameter to send a request using a model prompt, okay. And now if we send the request, okay, we will receive the response, and we return this response ID, new prompt ID, okay. We don't specify here in this line this ID, because it will be generated automatically. So ID, new prompt ID in our response. So prompt will be new prompt, okay. So new prompt, this variable in our prompt. And finally response equal new prompt response, okay. This response, I can save. So I open Postman, and I can create a new request, add a new request. I can copy directly the address of our backend. So the method is post to send a request, so new request, send prompt. I passed, and if I see my code, the root will be prompt. Okay, the address of our backend of our server, then prompt. And in a file app here, I can use a preface API Mistral. So here it will be API Mistral, and then I define here a root prompt. So I can complete prompt API Mistral prompt. Okay, and now I send just a prompt of the user and as JSON. So in my body row, okay, prompt. So prompt the best programming or programming language, just programming programming language. Okay, so if I click on send, could not send a request. So I needed to start a server. Flask app finally run. So here I have the error component port. Okay, so here, okay, so I use a prompt BP blueprint. So if I save, I need to use a root. Okay, I need to use a root. And now if I save and if I try to start again my server, okay, I have a same thing. So, if I learn the error value error invalidator, okay, so the connection of my database is not good. Okay, correct. So now I can add. Okay, I can add a I add I add a good, yes, a good connection for my database, and we will continue. Okay, so I add now a good connection a good environment variable to connect my app and my serverless Neon database. And if I try again to start a server, okay, Flask app run. So from root auth import auth pp model not found error, no naming root auth. To resolve this error, we can add on the folder root a this file init.p. So this file help of Flask to find a root. So if I try to start again our app, okay, so our problem now is okay, no model found, error naming Mistral AI. Try to install again our model Mistral AI package. So if I click on Git on their GitHub repository, client Python, okay. So with pipe, I can compile directly and in my virtual environment variable, I can paste. And now try to start our server. Okay, so the problem now is okay, get a Mistral API key, tap error. So now I can replace just and when I save and if I start now a server, okay, so if I start a server, all right now, and now we can send our request. So send, okay. So type error JWT, okay, missing. So I need now to add a token, and to add a token we need to sign in to generate a new token. So login, okay. So now we had a new token. I can copy in here now. In authorization, I add a token. I replace my token by the new token, and if I click now on send, okay, type error also same thing. So if I see my code JWT required, so I need to add, and if I save and if I try now, okay, let's try to start again our server. So Flask app send. It take a few minutes, few time. Okay, so now all right, now we have the ID, a prompt, okay, and we have now a response. Okay, so we say, okay, certainly programming language are okay. So we have the response of AI, and if I see, okay, we have a good response, 200. Okay, great. So very great. So we can send now a prompt and we can receive a response from Mistral AI. And we can add now a route to get a response, to read a response of Mistral AI. So I can copy directly this line, and a method will be get. So route prompt, okay, method here get, and also JWT required to get a response by the ID of the user. Okay, I define a function get prompt. Okay, so user ID from our model user. Okay, get JWT identity, and all prompts of the user now. Okay, model prompt. So model prompt. Okay, so query filter by okay, and by user ID, and user ID is the user ID of the user this user ID. Okay, and we return all prompt, yes, all prompt, and also all response of this prompt of this user. Okay, so now I can return as JSON. So return JSON file from P in prompt. Okay, ID will be P prompt ID. Okay, prompt will be okay P prompt, response P response. Okay, so we use a loop in Python to return all prompt, all response, all prompt, all response for the user. Okay, and now we can try our route get. So here I can duplicate just, and a name will be receive all user prompt and response get localhost API Mistral prompt. So here I specify, and I needed to specify now a token to identify a user, JWT token. So here I can copy it directly, this token authorization token, and now I click on get. Okay, let's try to start a server. Okay, the server, your request. For P in prompt, method object is not okay. The error is here. I needed to loop all results. Okay, so and now if I try again, start again a server. And try now. All right, I have my prompt. So if I try to send another prompt, programming language Python send, I have a good response. Okay, ID2 prompt. Okay, and here now I can receive all prompt and all response. Okay, so first of prompt, programming language, response of the AI. Second prompt, programming language Python, and response of the AI. In this part of our backend server, we will add a route to update a prompt and to receive a other response. So I can use now prompt blueprint route prompt, and to update a route we need to update this route by the ID of the route, and I need to specify a new token. So sign in. Okay, um, start again our server. Let's try to sign in. Okay, so I have a new token, and if I use my new token to receive, to read all points of the user. Okay, so to update a prompt, we need to make this by the ID of the prompt. So to update the prompt programming language, we will use the ID of the prompt programming language, and this ID, it is 1. And also it will be the same thing for the prompt programming language Python. We will use his ID, and his ID, it is 2. If I come back in VS Code, we needed to specify our our root this thing, okay, the ID of the prompt. So to specify this, we can use this. We can use this thing, okay, and prompt. So ID, the type of ID is a number, integer. Okay, and now I can continue, and I can specify a method, and to update we use a method. To update a root, we use a method put. So this operation need the authentication of the user. We need to identify a user, so we use JWT token. And now we can define a function update prompt, okay, using the ID as parameter, the ID of the prompt as parameter. We define a variable data to get the ID of the prompt in our URL, okay. So for example, to update a prompt, so update prompt, we will use, for example, this URL and the ID. For example, a prompt, the ID of the prompt 2, method put, okay, method put. So in data, we get the ID of the prompt in the URL, and with in a variable prompt, okay, get we get now the ID of this prompt in our database, in our table prompt here, okay. And now in this line we say if prompt user ID, okay. So our in model prompt, we have a colon user ID. So if prompt user ID, it is not equal, okay, get JWT identity. So when we use a token, we have a function get JWT identity, okay, to know the ID of the user, and we specify integer, okay, to receive correctly this ID as a number, okay. So if prompt user ID it's not equal the ID of the user, okay, we can return JSON file message on unauthorized. So on unauthorized, and we return this number. Okay, so if I see, for example, my database table, so if prompt user ID, so table prompt, so prompt, if prompt user ID, okay, it is not equal get JWT identity, okay, the ID of the user and the ID of the user, it is in a table user and in our token also. So it is not equal this ID, okay, because in the user, the ID of the user is number one, and in our user ID we have also this same number, okay, to know who has sent this prompt, okay. Great. So if all right, okay, prompt after prompt, so prompt as model prompt, okay, and his colon prompt, okay, we define his data, so data prompt, okay, and data prompt is a request, is a data, is a request of the user, okay. So to modify a prompt, we modify first the we use first the ID of the user, and in our body, okay, we modify also the text of the prompt, okay. So here now we say, okay, model prompt, okay, colon prompt, okay, and the test that we wanted to modify will stay in data prompt, in a variable data prompt, and also a response prompt, response now, okay. So to get a new response for this modification for the user, we can use now our function ask Mistral AI, and as argument we place a prompt of the user, okay. So data prompt, okay, and I can add now db session commit, okay, to save this modification. So it is not a new, yes, it is not a new creation, it is a modification, so I can use directly db session commit. Okay, and finally I return JSON file message prompt update update, so I can save. Okay, we are good. So we can try. We can try, and I start a server, and here now delete. Okay, so duplicate. Okay, default put update user prompt. Okay, I copy and the URL. So if I see my all prompt, okay, so prompt 2 programming language Python. Okay, we will modify the ID. We will modify a prompt 2 with a the ID 2. So I specify the ID, and in my body, so prompt programming language JavaScript. Okay, and if I try to send, okay, so missing authorization, we need to add a token, sign in. I copy so my token, and okay, so if I try, if I see my terminal, okay, for the first request, Postman request, I have this result, and for the second Postman request, I have this request. So 200 number, okay, HTTP code, okay, it is good. Okay, prompt updating. Okay, and now if I try to refresh, to call all prompts with all response. Okay, so programming language 1. Okay, prompt programming language 2. Programming language, I mastered to see programming language JavaScript. So I have the good response, but I don't see my modification in my database. I don't see my modification in my database just because here I forget this thing. Okay, session commit. Okay, it is a method, a function. So Let's try just to stop a server and to start again. Okay, so now generate a new token. Okay, use this token to update a a token to update a prompt with a VID 2. Let us try now to display my all prompt. Great, great. So here, so I have my modification. So ID programming language JavaScript. Okay, and I have also a new AI response. So two things, DB session commit, okay, and add this thing, and also start again a backend server. Very very important. And so if I see in my database, okay, I have now user ID 1, okay, the prompt with a VID 2 before we using as a prompt programming language Python, and here I have a prompt programming language JavaScript. I have a new response. Great. So let's start now to add a prompt router delete to delete a prompt. And now I can copy directly a route to update a prompt, and we will add a modification. So prompt blueprint, okay, route, okay, we will use the ID of our prompt to delete this prompt, and a method will be delete. Okay, so we will use a JWT token to identify a user. Function delete prompt, and in parameter we use the ID of a prompt. So here now we can use directly a variable prompt, okay, and to get the ID of this prompt directly. So if prompt user ID not equal the ID in JWT, so with the method get JWT identity, we get this ID, the ID of the user, okay, and we return, okay, as JSON message on unauthorized. But is if all right, we can use directly db session. We use a method delete, a function delete, and in parameter we use prompt. And after now, in this line db session commit, we save our modification in our database. Okay, we change we add this modification our database, and we delete correctly our prompt in our database, and after we can return prompt deleted. So prompt deleted. Okay, so I can save. Okay, so uh, stop a server. Okay, start again. And here I can duplicate directly, and a method I use a method delete. Okay, so here delete user prompt. Okay, I can compile. Okay, so localhost API Mistral prompt, the ID of the prompt. We need just to have the ID of of the prompt. We specify just the ID, and if I click on yes, and also the authorization. So try before. Okay, missing authorization. So authorization, sign in, and if I copy my token, I replace, and now send prompt deleted correctly. And now if I try to receive my option prompts normally, I will not I will not see a prompt with VID2 because we delete this prompt. So same to try. Okay, all right. I see just the prompt with a VID1. And also if I see, I refresh my database, I see just a prompt with VID1. I want to share with you just how you can use the API of OpenAI, the API of Groq AI of our app if you don't want to use Mistral. So on the official website of OpenAI platform, okay, overview, library, Python, okay, just you can install Python in your virtual environment, and a basic way, a very, very basic way to use the API is just here. So you can define a function as in our this file. You can define a function, you can and a model, and here input will input you can yes, input, it will be the test of input, it will be a prompt of the user, and you can return just this thing. Very, very simple, and you don't need to specify the API key because when you install OpenAI, you define environment variable in your environment variable. For example, here you define your API key, OpenAI API key, and but in the file you don't need to specify to specify your API key as Mistral, okay, as our backend app. You don't need to specify. Okay, so it is just an example with OpenAI API. And if you want to use Groq AI, okay, here it is my dashboard. Create API key, copy your API key in your environment variable, and in docs.quickstar Python language, you install a, a Groq package, Python package, and you define, so here you define API key, you define API key as Groq API key in your environment variable, okay? And after you specify, just you define a function, your function, and you specify just you call just your Groq API key from your environment variable file, and it will be works. And here now content, you replace a test of content by the prompt of our user, and finally you return, if you use a function, you return a response. Great. In this step of our video, we will deploy our Flask app on render. So I can generate a file requirement test, and this file will contain the all dependencies of our project, of our backend. Great. So if I see this file, okay, I can see the all dependencies of our project. And I can push this thing on GitHub. So cd generate. Finally, git push. Great. So here I have the repository of our project, and sign up and sign in. And so you can create a project. You can create a project. So I have a project backend Milo, or you can click on here to create a new project. So in this project, okay, you can click on create a new service. Okay, so here we deploy the API servers. So I use this web service, and I can select now a backend, a project. And here I have my project backend Milo. Okay, and project name backend Milo, the repository, a comment, star comment. So here, for example, we have, so I can copy directly, and here I can paste. The main file of our app is app, so we use directly app. Okay, free. And yes, it is time to upload our environment variable. So add from file env. Okay, so I select my environment variable file. I click on add variable, and then I can click on deploy web service. So here I have the error, okay, unicorn app command not found, and I can search, I can install, we need to install this dependency. Okay, so here I can compile directly, and in my virtual environment I can try to install. Okay, so after I need now to refresh my file requirement. Okay, so now I can push my modification. Finally, so push. Okay, so it's deploying. Okay, our service is live. Okay, available on your primary URL. I try to sign in, so I can replace just the URL by, okay, so HTTPS backend Milo on render API login. If I try send, great. So I enter a correct token here, and I can place a good backend API route link. Okay, and if I try now to get the all prompt, okay, I have a good response. Great, very, very great. And also I can try to send a prompt post. I need also to use the good token authorization. Okay, so programming language, Rust. Okay, just for example, Rust. And if I click so on send, so here this ID, it is just the response. Okay, we don't have this ID in our database. Okay, so how if I send my prompt, I have now a result, a new response, a new ID, a prompt, and a response. Okay, programming language Rust is a system programming language known for. Okay, for example, if I try to receive my to display my all prompt, I will don't see the prompt with the ID too because we delete this ID, this prompt in in our um, in our test, in our local test. Okay, so I have uh, the prompt with the ID one, and also I have the prompt with the ID three. Okay, and also if I come back in render, I will see the status of render, and also a different interaction with my backend. Okay, so post, login, postman. Okay, runtime, postman, runtime also postman. So we can try now to delete a a prompt with VID free. Before deleting, try to update. Try to update. Yes, try to update this 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 ID, this prompt with ID free. So here now I replace. I specify the ID of the prompt. I need also to specify also a token update here. And now in my body, okay, programming language, the ID free, the prompt is programming language Rust. Okay, so I change just by programming language, PHP, PHP. Okay, so send. Okay, prompt updated. And if I try to read my all prompt, I have programming language PHP. Okay, great. And also if I try to refresh my database here, yes, to refresh my database and my tables, prompt, programming language PHP. Okay, finally, we can try now to delete. I specify the ID, and I need also to specify the a token. Okay, so now send prompt delete. Okay, and now if I try to receive my all, to see my prompts, I have one prompt. And if I see my database, I have one prompt. Great. I want to share with you how you can add another AI models in your apps. And to do this, we will use Groq Cloud. In Groq Cloud, we have many models. We have a model of Meta AI, LLaMA AI. We have a model of Mistral also. We have uh, the AI of Google, Gemma AI. We have the AI of DeepSeek. We have also the AI of Amazon Queen. Okay, so I think that it will be very important to know, to see with you how we can add this model in our app. So please to sign up after sign in on Groq Cloud and create API key. So here I have the API key. Okay, so click just on create API key. Okay, and we can, after verification, we can copy your API key, and in your file, in this file env, create a environment variable Groq API key and replace here, you replace just here your Groq API key. Okay, and we will use this environment variable, okay, to use many, very many AI models on Groq Cloud. So after you specify your Groq API key in your environment variable file, okay, click on doc, kickstart, and now we will use these dependencies to install Groq. So I copy, and in my environment variable file, I can install Groq. And also here we need to use this code. So let's try to create a function to integrate this code. So in utils OpenAI service, I create now a function ask. So ask Groq AI. parameter, I use a prompt of a user, and here now I can compile directly a code, and in my function ask Groq AI, I can replace. So here I use return. I save. Okay, and a content will be a prompt of our user. Replace just by prompt. Okay, and now I need also to import this thing. I have this import. It is here, and now I need to import this thing. So I import Groq and also a Groq client. Okay, and here now. Okay, okay. So I import Groq here, and just here I define a environment variable of Groq. So I create a file Groq AI p by, and I can use directly a function of Mistral AI. Okay, so I copy and I paste here. And if I see my different function, I call Mistral AI in two functions. I call Mistral AI in when the user wanted to update his prompt, and I call also Mistral AI when a user want uh, to add wanted to send a prompt from our app to AI, to Mistral AI. So I can delete this prompt because here we collect all prompt response in our database. Okay, we don't call the AI, we don't call Mistral AI, we don't call the AI just. So I can delete, and here I delete a prompt. I delete a line in our table prompt in our database. So I can call also the AI. So here now I can delete. Okay, I save. And from models, import models, okay. So from utils OpenAI service, import ask Groq AI. So ask Groq AI. Okay, so here now I can change a blueprint, okay, to export easily our function. So here it is a blueprint for Mistral AI. So I can change by prompt Groq AI, after prompt Groq AI blueprint. And here I can replace by prompt Groq AI. Also here I make a simple thing from Groq AI. Okay. And now I can replace a function. So ask Groq AI, and here also ask Groq AI. Okay. Okay. So now in my file app, I can add, I can, yes, I can import my root. So from root OpenAI. So here it will be from root Groq AI import prompt Groq AI. And here now I can define a blueprint register. So here it is prompt Groq AI, and the URL will be API Groq AI. I save. Okay, so we are good. And if I try to start my server, the problem is value error. The name prompt is already registered for a different blueprint username. Okay, so we needed to change in our root Groq. We needed to change just the blueprint name. So here, because we used this blueprint, okay, for Mistral AI, to call Mistral AI API, okay. So now in root in this file, okay, we use this blueprint, okay, prompt bp blueprint, okay, prompt. So now we can change by prompt Groq. Okay, I save. And if I try now to start again my server, okay, great, I don't have the error, so I can use now a Postman to test my different route collection. Okay, Milo. Okay, so I can test. Yes, let us test a um, a route to send a prompt using a model of a meta. So here send a prompt become with Mistral AI, and I can duplicate and here now I I replace, and I don't push my modification on GitHub, and we work we work on local. So here I can use a local address, localhost 5000. Okay, and the address it is okay API Groq AI. Okay, so here now I specify API Groq AI. Okay, API Groq AI. A method is post API Groq AI brought Groq AI. Okay, and after prompt. So here I specify prompt. Okay, I need also to have a token, and I can try to sign in. I have HTTPS here, so it is HTTP. Okay, HTTP. And if I click on send, okay, I have my token. So I can copy my token and send prompt, with Groq AI. So here now authorization, I can specify my token. Okay, and if I click on send in my body row, unsported media type. Okay, so I need to specify a row. I don't have a row here, so I copy just in here now, and if I click on send, okay, chat object has no attribute completion. Let's try to let's create a new file, as a Groq Groq AI service by. Okay, Groq AI service by. Okay, so and here now I specify just a prompt of our user. Okay, okay. So import OS from Groq, import Groq, and I define a client. Okay, and after now I define a function. Okay, so if I save, and now I can change the address of our Groq function, so from utils OpenAI service, so now is from Groq AI service. import ask Groq AI. Ask is so Groq AI. Okay, sign in. Okay, I need to wait a few minutes. Send prompt with Groq authorization. Okay, ID. Okay, we have a result, but prompt programming rest. So okay, so here we we have a result directly in our terminal. If I see a database, okay, so we send our request is saved in a database, but our response is not saved in our database. Response no. And so if I see my function return prompt, so I need just to use return, just a return. Okay, try to start again a server. Sign in. Copy a new token authorization in programming language which which company okay build you. Okay, for to test. So now send. So I can, yes, I can send a prompt and receive a response of Meta AI using Groq Cloud, and we can try now to update. Let's try to update a prompt. If I see my tables, okay, I save correctly my response. Okay, and let's try to update. So I copy directly in here. I replace a method put, okay, update user prompt using Groq AI. Okay, just for example, and to update a user prompt, we need to have the ID of this prompt. And if I see my database prompt, okay, last prompt, for example, I will use this ID. In my body, in my body, I can try programming language Go. Okay, programming language Go. Okay, so I need also to specify a token authorization. Okay, so if I try to click on send, prompt updated. If I see my server, okay, I have a good response. And now if I see my database, okay, we modify this ID, okay, this ID, okay, which company build you, okay, and if I refresh, yes, refresh my tables, okay, programming language Go, and Go also know as, okay, we are good. And if I try to receive my all prompt request, just we send request just from our app to our database. Okay, so it is online. So my server response HTTP, okay, localhost 5,000. Okay, I have the response, and also I have my last modification response, programming language Go. And on local, if I click on send, okay, and also if I see, okay, I have also get, okay, and I have all my all response. Before deploying our last modification, I want to do a few modification again. So replace OpenAI service by Mistral AI. So Mistral AI service. So here in folder routes file OpenAI, I want also replace this file by Mistral AI by, okay, and my import. So utils. So here will be, it will be Mistral AI service. Okay, and in app here from root Mistral AI, from root Mistral AI import don't pp. Okay, so let's try now to deploy the project on GitHub. City backend Milo So I can, yes, I can delete a content of this file. And if I activate my virtual environment, and if I try again to start this command in my terminal, okay, so now we have all dependencies, and I think that in this, yes, we have Groq. Great. So now we can push our modification on GitHub. It's backend git add git commit add Groq AI. Okay, finally git push. We have this project backend Milo. Okay, deploying. We need to take a few minutes. We have a problem, just I don't specify my Groq API key. Okay, so if I click on environment variable, okay, so I need now to add, edit, okay, so add new variable. So if I click on save, rebuild and deploy, updated environment variable for this service, okay, and overview, backend Milo, good new, our service is live. So we can test to send request using Groq API, using a the body. Using Groq AI and using also a, a different model on Groq Cloud. If I copy a link and here now I can replace. Okay. So to send a prompt with Mistral AI, we will use this address. Send a prompt with Groq AI. So receive a prompt. To receive a prompt, we receive all prompts in our database. So it not depends AI API. Okay, update user prompt. So with Mistral AI. Okay, and here update user prompt using Groq Groq API or Groq Cloud. They let user also not important to specify a type of AI. Okay, so let's try to sign in, and we have a new token. So let's try to send a prompt using AI of Mistral AI. So authorization, I add my new token in body, which which company build you. Okay, and if I click on send, okay, so I was created by Mistral AI. Okay, and now if we make a same thing with using Groq Cloud API, and a model is LLaMA. So in my body, okay, so which company build you? Okay, and if I click on send, okay, response Meta AI build me. Okay, and if I try to receive all prompt in my database, programming language Rust, and a last okay, which company build you? We for this prompt we use LLaMA AI, and with for this prompt we use Mistral AI directly. So backend Milo, Mistral, request put. Okay, here use correct token, and in body present Mistral AI. Okay, try to send. Okay, prompt update, and if we see now a prompt with a VID 15. Okay, we have now present Mistral AI, and Mistral AI is a okay, and so update. So here update user prompt using Groq Cloud, and use try to use VID with the number 16, and here present AI. Okay. And if okay, so present I not authorization, we need to add a good token. And if I try, okay, we have a good response. And if I try now to read all prompt, present I am okay on artificial intelligence model developed by Meta. Okay. And now if I try to delete a prompt, so using a good token and delete a prompt with the user 15. Okay, correct. Delete a prompt with a user with a VID, not user with a VID 15, and now delete a prompt with a VID 16. And if we try to display all prompt, okay, we are good. So great, very very great. And if we yes, if you want, you can change the address of our when the user try get get the response, and when the user try to delete the response. Here we see API Mistral. Okay, but to get and to delete a prompt, it's not depend the type of AI. So if you want, you can change just the route. Try just to change a model, a model of the AI. So here I copy model, I copy, and in my function ask a Groq, I replace. I needed to push my modification on GitHub and to update also my project on render. So git add, git commit, try to use Gemma models. Git push. Okay, so here I use always LLaMA AI. Okay, and when I push now my code on GitHub and deploying, try to use Gemma AI model. We take a few minutes. So all right, and if we try, yes, which company bill you? I was created by Gemma team at Google DeepMind. Okay, so it will be the same thing if you want to change a AI models as Queen of Amazon, DeepSeek. Okay, again Mistral. Okay, it will be it will be a same thing. So if you like this video, please to give me your comeback on in a YouTube comment. Please to share, please to like also this video on YouTube, and see you in the next part 2 to see together how we can build a front end off of this project. Okay, thanks.